Hi. It was one of those late August Saturdays where the air hums with laughter and the smell of grilled meat. My brother Daniel's backyard buzzed with cousins, lawn chairs, paper plates sagging under burgers, and kids darting through sprinklers like sugar-fueled missiles. I'd brought the coleslaw, like I always did, even though I don't think anyone but Aunt May ever eats it. Julie was beside me, tanned from a recent girls' trip to the coast, her sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. She laughed easily with my family, too easily, in hindsight. Her hand rested on my arm, fingers light, absent-minded, while she chatted with Daniel and his wife about their new deck furniture. "You really should see the view at Babe's place," she said, mid-sentence. She laughed, brushing a wisp of hair behind her ear. Everyone chuckled. One of my cousins actually clapped a little, thinking it was a joke. "Babe, huh?" someone teased. "Y'all role-playing now?" Julie didn't correct them. She laughed too, but not the usual way. Not with that dimpled smile she saved for me. This laugh was deflection. Sharp. Hollow. I didn't laugh. I felt it immediately. That pull in the stomach, like when you miss a step walking down the stairs. No one else caught it. Why would they? Julie and I had pet names. Babe wasn't new. But the way she said it, the way her eyes flitted past me in that second, like something inside her froze when the word slipped out, that's what stuck. I sipped my beer and tried to breathe through it. There was music playing from Daniel's Bluetooth speaker, something nostalgic from our high school days. And for a moment, I just stared into the blue haze of the barbecue smoke curling into the sky. That's what grief feels like sometimes. Smoke with nowhere to go. You see it, but you can't touch it, and it always means something's burning. I didn't say anything. Not then. But I watched her. The rest of the afternoon rolled on like normal. My uncle fell asleep in a camping chair. Someone started a beanbag toss tournament, and Julie acted like nothing happened. She laughed with the cousins, helped serve dessert, even leaned into me once and kissed my shoulder. It all felt rehearsed, like a woman on autopilot. It's funny how one word can rewire your whole memory. I started to look backward through a different lens, like someone gave me glasses I didn't know I needed. The late-night texting she brushed off as wedding planning for Aaron. The phone that always seemed to be on silent. The sudden obsession with yoga at 6 a.m. when she hated mornings. And now this, babe. Not Han, not sweetie, which she used with me. Just babe. That night, we drove home in silence. The kind of silence where the radio plays softly, but neither of you hears it. Julie stared out the passenger window, the wind catching strands of her hair as we passed under streetlights. I wanted to ask. I really did. But I didn't want to accuse without knowing. That's something I'd promised myself. No jumping to conclusions. No self-sabotage. When we pulled into the driveway, she said, "You're quiet." "So are you," I replied. She nodded. Long day. I wanted to say, "Who's babe?" Just like that. No preamble. No gentleness. But instead I forced a smile and said, "Yeah, Daniel's burgers are still dry as hell." She laughed. That same easy laugh she used around my family. But her hand didn't reach for mine. Not even once. In bed, I lay awake beside her, listening to her breath even out into sleep. My thoughts raced, looping that single moment in the backyard over and over like a broken film reel. "You really should see the view at Babe's place." That wasn't a joke. That was a memory. Her words weren't about me. I scrolled through her Instagram while she slept. Harmless, right? We followed all the same people. But I noticed a few new names liking her photos. One in particular kept popping up. Just a first name and a blurry profile pic. A man. I tapped his profile. Private. No bio. Just a name. I felt something cold move through my chest. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee. Julie was downstairs, humming to herself, acting like everything was fine. She handed me a mug, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "You looked like you didn't sleep well." I shrugged. Weird dreams. She leaned against the counter, sipping her own coffee. "What about?" I looked at her and said, "Someone called me by the wrong name." She smiled faintly. "That's creepy." "Yeah," I said. It kind of was. She didn't ask anything else. Just sipped her coffee and changed the subject. Asked if I wanted to go hiking next weekend. Julie hated hiking. That's when I knew something had shifted. It wasn't a crack anymore. It was a widening space between us. And I had no idea what I was about to find in it. The following week, I became a man split in two. Half husband, half investigator. I moved through our house like a guest, attentive but detached, watching Julie the way a man watches the weather, closely, warily, hoping the clouds were just shadows, not a storm forming. But storms never announce themselves, do they? I didn't jump to anything, not officially. I didn't snoop through her drawers or follow her around. But I started noticing things I hadn't before, or maybe things I hadn't wanted to see. Her phone was always face down. She laughed at texts she never showed me. She started showering before bed, something she hadn't done in the 5 years we'd been married. Little things. That's how betrayal works. It hides in the little things. Friday night, we were supposed to meet friends for dinner. She got dressed in record time, tight jeans, a blouse I didn't recognize. Her makeup was perfect, the kind of effort she used to put in for anniversaries or weddings. But not for Nick and Laura, not for Thai food and cheap wine. Still, I said nothing. In the car, I glanced at her as we pulled onto the freeway. "You look great." She smiled. "Thanks, babe." She'd said it again. But this time, it was for me. Deliberate. Like she was trying to prove something. Like she knew exactly what I'd been thinking all week and wanted to reset the clock. Dinner was normal. Too normal. She laughed at Laura's jokes, stole bites off my plate. Nick and I talked about fantasy football, but I wasn't there. Not really. I was trying to decode every blink, every smile. At one point, Julie's phone buzzed on the table. She grabbed it quickly and turned its screen down. My chest went tight. Later that night, when she fell asleep beside me, I stood in the hallway with my phone in my hand, staring at that name again, Ethan. The blurry profile. Still private. But something about it wouldn't let me go. I scrolled back through her recent photos again. He'd liked nearly all of them, even ones from before we were together. That kind of scrolling doesn't happen by accident. The next morning, I called in a favor. Mike, an old college friend, now a web security consultant, owed me more than one. He didn't ask questions, just said, "Give me a few days." It took 2. On Monday evening, I sat in the car outside our house, staring at the email Mike had sent. No commentary, just a collection of screenshots, comments, DMs, a few tagged photos from another account that was also private, but not secure enough. Ethan wasn't just some random follower. He was real, local, same gym as Julie, that I didn't even know she went to. There was a photo of the two of them from 6 months ago, Julie in yoga pants, hair in a bun, standing too close to be strangers. The caption read, "My favorite view after a long week. Hashtag Friday fix hashtag babe." My stomach dropped. You really should see the view at Babe's place. That day at the barbecue, it hadn't been a slip. It had been a bleed. Her two lives brushing against each other for one careless moment. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed time to breathe. Think. Feel. I didn't want to yell. I didn't want to throw plates or accuse her in a parking lot. I wanted to understand how we'd gotten here. That night, I slept in the guest room. Told her I had a headache. She didn't press. I laid there in the dark, fingers gripping the edge of the mattress, listening to the silence between us. It felt like a canyon. Over the next week, I started noticing more. She smiled less, checked her phone more. She didn't ask how my day was, didn't kiss me goodnight. The rituals were fading, like we were housemates just waiting for the lease to end. One night, after she'd gone to bed, I opened her laptop. Just once. I told myself it was just this once. I wasn't looking for anything. But there it was, her email open, a chain of messages to a contact named E. They talked about gym classes. Inside jokes I didn't understand. One message from her read, "Wish I could be with you tonight. Feels weird pretending." Pretending. The next day, I took a walk during lunch. Sat on a bench near the park. Watched the wind move through the trees and thought about every version of us that had ever existed. The couple on the beach in Charleston. The couple laughing in that photo booth in Chicago. The couple who danced in the living room to music no one else could hear. Had she buried that version of us? Or had I? Maybe both. I thought about confronting her, sitting her down and asking the question straight. But some part of me already knew the answer. What I didn't know, what I couldn't guess, was whether she'd admit it. Or if she'd lie again. If she'd say it's not what it looks like. If she'd try to gaslight me into doubting my own eyes, my own gut. That Friday, I told her I wanted to take her out. Just us. One last attempt at reaching something honest. She seemed surprised. "Sure," she said. "That sounds nice." We went to the place where we'd had our first anniversary dinner. Candlelight. Low jazz. The kind of restaurant where the waiters remember your name. She wore a black dress I hadn't seen in a long time. I wore the suit she used to say made me look like someone important. Over appetizers, I asked her, "Do you remember that night at Daniel's? The barbecue?" She blinked. "Sure. You called someone babe." She laughed. "I called you babe. I always call you that." I nodded, stirred my drink. "You sure that's who you meant?" I asked. And in that moment, something in her eyes flinched. Just for a second. Then she smiled. Too smoothly. "Of course," she said. "Who else would I mean?" I don't know what I expected her to say. Maybe part of me hoped she'd break. That her smile would falter, her voice would crack, and she'd reach across the table and tell me the truth. That it wasn't just a slip. That I wasn't crazy. That she'd made a mistake. One we could name. One we could fight through. But she didn't. She held that smile like a mask. One she'd worn too long to ever take off again. And in that moment, I realized she wasn't going to give me the truth. Not because it wasn't there, but because I didn't matter enough to her anymore to receive it. So I nodded. I finished my drink. I paid the check. We walked to the car in silence, the heels of her shoes tapping against the pavement like a metronome for a song I didn't want to hear. Back home, she peeled off her dress and disappeared into the bathroom. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the spot where her jewelry lay, little polished lies, each one worn with care. When she came out, towel in her hair, she asked, "You okay?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and for a brief second I saw it. The version of Julie I had fallen in love with. The girl who once cried watching an old couple hold hands on a park bench. The woman who made blueberry pancakes at 1 a.m. because I'd said I missed my mom's cooking. That version of her flickered and vanished. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." She kissed my cheek and climbed into bed. I didn't sleep. The next morning, while she went to her yoga class, I packed a bag. Just one. A duffel with enough to get me through a few days. I didn't leave a note. I didn't slam the door. I didn't rage. I simply walked out. I checked into a small hotel on the edge of town and turned my phone off. I sat on the bed, stared at the ceiling, and let the weight of it all settle. The grief. The betrayal. The slow, quiet death of something I thought was permanent. 2 days passed before she texted. "Julie, where are you? Julie, can we talk? Julie, please." I didn't respond. On the third day, I turned my phone back on to find a voicemail. I listened with the speaker pressed to my chest. "Hey, I don't know what's going on. You're scaring me. If you're upset about something, can we just talk about it? I didn't mean to hurt you. I love you, okay?" But it didn't sound like love. It sounded like panic. Like someone who realized too late they'd pushed too far. Or maybe just someone whose secret was finally cornered. I went back home 2 days later, not to stay. Just to see what the silence felt like in a place that used to be full of us. She was there, sitting on the couch, eyes red. The TV played some reality show neither of us watched. She stood when I came in. "Where did you go?" she asked. "Somewhere quiet," I said. "Somewhere honest." She stepped closer. "I know something's wrong. Just tell me what you think I did." I almost laughed. That's the game, isn't it? Play dumb. Make the hurt person name it all. Carry the burden twice. Once in pain, once in proof. So I asked her, "Who's Ethan?" The blood drained from her face. And there it was. The truth, finally uninvited to the party. She tried to recover, tried to breathe through it. "He's just a friend from the gym. Friends don't call each other babe in private DMs," I said. "They don't make dinner plans when their husband's out of town." Her lip quivered. "You went through my messages?" "No," I said. "But I have eyes. And a memory. And, apparently, a limit." Julie sat down, her hand covering her mouth, like she could physically stop the words from coming out. "I didn't mean for it to be anything. It was stupid. It was just a slip," I said, echoing the word that had haunted me since the barbecue. She looked up at me then, and in her eyes, I saw the weight of it. Not guilt, not even shame, just realization that I wasn't going to be the man who looked the other way. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just said, "I'm not staying." She stood. "So that's it?" "Yeah," I said. "That's it." There were no grand speeches. No final embraces. Just the quiet sound of me walking away. The next morning, I filed for separation. Some days, I still hear her laugh at that barbecue. The way she called him babe, like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. And I think about how easy it is to lose someone not all at once, but in pieces. A word. A look. A silence. Everyone laughed that day. Except me. And now I know why. Bye-bye.